Hello everybody, time for another Health Detective Talk today. I'm Roberto Parker with Innovative Sports Training. The last time you go on to the doctor, what was your cholesterol reading? That's what I'm going to talk about today. Specifically cholesterol and how it more so relates to cortisol. But let's talk about the reading aspect first. Most doctors will tell you, most lab reports will tell you that you should be within a range of 100 to about 200 milligrams per deciliter of cholesterol. They consider that to be healthy. If you're over 200, you're considered at moderate, possibly high risk. Some doctors will recommend statin drugs. Now, I have my own opinion about those, which I will then express on video. I think you probably know how I feel about that. But let's go a little bit deeper because that's what Health Detective Series is all about. There is a test called the LPP, the lipoprotein particle test. It is a blood test. Ask your doctor for it. Now, some doctors will not do it. Some doctors are not aware of it. If they will not do it, find yourself another practitioner. Better yet, come to Innovative Sports Training and talk to me, and I'll be glad to help you out with it. But the LPP test will microscopically evaluate, take a look at the molecular structure of your cortisol, not your cortisol, but your cholesterol particles. Now I'm going to use a board here to illustrate something. Looking at it on a microscope, let's say that your cholesterol is 250 milligrams per deciliter. By most standards, that's pretty high, and a doctor would probably recommend getting on some sort of medication to lower that cholesterol, wouldn't he or she? Okay? But on the LPP test, they look at the molecular structure of those cholesterol components. If those structures are big, fluffy, light, and not dense particles, you are at lower risk. Why? Because when those particles become really small, like this, and this person's at 150 milligrams per deciliter, they're more problematic. Why is that? Because the smaller particles become, or more susceptible to become trapped within the blood tissues, the blood vessels of the body, where they become oxidized and inflamed. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what can cause heart disease. Once again, oxidation, inflammation. You've heard me talk about those two topics before. Oxidation, inflammation, those are the genesis, the mother of all diseases. So, if you have a cholesterol reading of 250, let's say, but on the lipoparticle protein test, those structures, those particles are very big and very few, you are at very low risk. Whereas going down the progression here, or digression maybe, a person who's at 150 milligrams per deciliter could be at higher risk. In fact, there's no could be. They are at higher risk. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a little statistic. 50% of first-time heart attacks are by individuals who have normal cholesterol readings. Wow! 50%. Ladies and gentlemen, there's something wrong with this picture. Now, cholesterol, as you know, is made up of fat, B vitamins, and acetylcholine A. Those are the components of cholesterol. Without good cholesterol, you have poor nerve transmission, you have poor joint stability because of lack of lubrication of the joints. Cholesterol is important for strengthening the myelin sheath, which is important for nerve transmission. Your body will not make hormones like it should, particularly testosterone, estrogen and progesterone and aldosterone and cortisol. Those are all pretty important hormones. Without cholesterol, you don't make those things. Not to mention, a lot of people don't know this, but cholesterol is important for injuries because it serves as a natural band-aid healing for certain injuries. Pretty important. Now, my suggestion is this. If you really want to find out what's going on with your body, test your cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone, as I said many times before. Now, there's a stress test, cortisol test, that is a saliva test. You have to spit into a tube 4 times a day. In the morning, mid-afternoon, late afternoon, or actually evening, and then at night before you go to bed. And what that will measure are your cortisol readings, because cortisol is rhythmical throughout the day, on circadian rhythms to be more specific. In the morning, here's a graph here. Your cortisol levels, when you get out of bed in the morning, let's say you get up at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, your cortisol levels should be at their highest peak. And by evening time, your cortisol levels are at their lowest peak. But at nighttime, melatonin goes up because that's your sleep hormone, which is primarily made by your gut, by the way. Now, this is our normal cortisol flow here. Over here, this individual is an abnormal cortisol flow. This person, when they get up in the morning, their cortisol levels are really, really low. Chances are their energy levels are low. So you want to have good cortisol readings in the morning because you want to have the energy to get out of bed and go do your daily tasks for the day. But this person has a hard time getting out of bed, more likely. But notice it kind of peaks up maybe mid-afternoon, and by nighttime or evening time it's low, and by bedtime he or she is a little bit high again. This person more likely has a hard time going to sleep at night. This person has some sort of stress going on in their life that is throwing their whole cortisol rhythm off. Cortisol is stress, and when this becomes a chronic thing, it can lead to high risk. Stress. Chronic cortisol readings that are high are stressful. And we all know stress leads to oxidation, inflammation, thus putting you at high risk, even more so for heart attacks. That's what this is all about here, guys. We peel away the layers, get down to the nitty-gritty of what's really going on with you. So guys, I hope this has been helpful. I challenge you to do your own research on this. Just don't take my word for it. Go out there and do some studies on this, or some research, some homework. At the bottom of this video, I will give you some references I want you to follow up on by various practitioners in the field out there. Just don't take Roberto Parker's word for it. Go out and do your own research. Cortisol versus cholesterol. Both are necessary. We need cortisol to handle stress. We need cholesterol for other daily functions of our life. As I said before, like nerve transmission, hormone production, those sort of things. So they're both important. And just because you have high cholesterol, I've even read this. There are some practitioners, holistic practitioners, who will say that even a cholesterol reading of 300 is possible and still be healthy. Wow, that's amazing. 300. But like I said, guys, just don't take my word for it. Do your research. This has been Roberto Parker with another Health Detective series. Guys, have a blessed day. God bless. Bye-bye.